Friday practice around the Dutch Grand Prix showed that it's worth watching these Friday practice sessions because a lot of incidents can happen, and particularly usually do happen, of course, as well, when we've had a long break like we have now in Formula 1 drivers. The F1 drivers very much shaking off the rust and the cobwebs after 4 weeks off for the summer break. So what were the 5 things that we learned? What were the main highlights from today's Formula 1 action? Let's have a look, guys. Got all the highlights for you here, as always, on the channel. So, like I alluded to, first thing that we learned is that the drivers very much needed to get back into the rhythm of things after having 4 weeks away. A lot of incidents in both FP1 and FP2. We'll focus on free practice 1 first of all, where both Sir Lewis Hamilton and Yuki Tsunoda both spun but kept going, thankfully for them. However, Andrea Kimi Antonelli spun and was beached. He could take no further part in free practice 1. And also Max Verstappen, the hometown hero as it were. The guy was won 3 times here in the last 4 years, including 3 in a row between 21 and 23. He went into the gravel and was out too, so even the best drivers, even the most experienced drivers, even the most successful drivers around Zandvoort were really struggling on Friday. No rain. The rain did not come. It was forecast for today, of course, on Friday, but it is also forecast for Saturday and Sunday too, so we could well see it in FP3 and in particular in qualifying and during the Grand Prix on Sunday. So we'll see what happens there. But we didn't need rain to cause chaos, really, because Aston Martin were absolutely throwing the green cat amongst the pigeons, really, when it came to this. They have seen a bit of an uptick in performance. Maybe Adrian Newey, perhaps his magic is starting to be worked on the car. That's unlikely. I think he's more likely working entirely on the 2026 car, but their pace is looking good. I mean, it's only Friday practice at the end of the day, but they were really impressive today in both sessions. They were P3 and P4, where Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso proving that it's not the drivers, really. It is the car. The car is generally good around here, at least so it seems anyway. Only the McLarens were ahead of them in FP1. In FP2, Alonso was really impressive. He got P2. He split the McLarens in that session. But Lance Stroll crashed out early, proving that, you know, maybe the car is a bit on edge. Maybe it is pushing things a little bit too much, or at least he is pushing things a bit too much. And I say he's thankfully all right, because this was the same corner, of course. I'm pretty sure he crashed out the same corner where Daniel Ricciardo crashed out a good few years ago and he injured his wrist. Of course, Lance Stroll is arguably racing with an injured wrist still. I mean, I know he's had it repaired again, but of course he's had that done twice now, so that injury could easily reoccur, particularly if there's a nasty crash there. But thankfully, he seemed alright, no injured wrist to speak of, which is great. Although his car was absolutely done at that point. Although, of course, it will be ready for Saturday, free practice 3 on the way tomorrow. But yeah, there were a bunch of other incidents as well in FP2. Hamilton spun again, another spin for Hamilton. While the red flags were out for Lance Stroll's crash as well, Isaac Hadjar pulled up. He had some sort of mechanical issue, I do believe, in the car, and his Racing Bulls went no. And his Racing Bull car went no further. There was also a collision. I'm pretty sure they did make contact, albeit relatively light contact in the end. George Russell and Oscar Piastri. The pit lane speed limit has been increased this year, but unfortunately, that only really accelerated George Russell even faster into Oscar Piastri, who turned into the pits but then turned out. Very awkward, very tight pit lane at Zandvoort. We could well see some more incidents in the pit lane, especially during the Grand Prix if there is changeable weather conditions. Everybody coming in to change their tyres, changing to wet tyres, changing to dry tyres, something like that. So we'll see what happens there. Alex Albon also spun into the gravel twice. First time around he was assisted by Charles Leclerc, and the second time he needed no help really to go straight into the barriers that I believe was Tarzan corner. Lost his front wing. Yeah, Williams not looking too great this weekend. I think it could be another difficult one for them, really. But for a change, the Red Bulls are looking good, and I'm not just talking about Max Verstappen. Both Yuki Tsunoda and Max Verstappen in the top 10 in free practice too. This is really rare. They do really struggle to set up that car on a Friday, and they pull off some sort of miracle on Saturday normally, but the car's looking better. I mean, aside from the spins in FP1, I think they resolved whatever issue they had there, really, when it came to that. But yeah, they look pretty good. Verstappen in P5 and Tsunoda in P7, so not a lot to really split the two Red Bull drivers, which is extremely rare, not only in Yuki Tsunoda's tenure there, but also about the last 5 drivers to be in that second seat. But as we predicted, as we kind of expect by now, particularly in free practice 1 and 2 on Friday, it is papaya power all the way. They are 1 and 2 in FP1 and also 1 and 3 in FP2. They're looking like the team to beat. Lando Norris in particular, he dominated this race 12 months ago and he was top of FP2. So I think it's looking good for Lando Norris at this point, but you never know. They could review the data tonight. They could go over all that sort of stuff, and Oscar Piastri could come out swinging for the fences on Saturday in qualifying and get a surprise pole position. But who is going to win this weekend, guys? Let me know in the comments below who you are backing. It's probably going to be a McLaren looking at this, but could Aston Martin get a shock podium on their form on Friday? It's possible. It is absolutely possible. See you soon, guys, for some more action from the Dutch Grand Prix. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.